First of all, let me ask you, how do we define China's relationship with the DPRK? Are we friends? Are we foes? Are we half friends, half foes?
Definitely it's not foe, it's a friend. But this is a friend based on the historic geography and relations. We don't think China control anybody, not control North Korea. This thing is past the back of the North Korea nuclear and missile problems to China. It's its responsibility, because if China can control North Korea, and then immediately dismantle the nuclear program and the missile defense, missile system. Why? Because it's, the nuclear test is only hundreds of miles away from China. So it's violent of the Chinese international security environment, and give the excuse for the start of missile defense system. And if we control, and there's no need for North Korea to go nuclear, because we can provide a nuclear umbrella for North Korea, like the US did for South Korea.
So indeed, I understand we have a historical friendship with that country, but at the same time, are we seeing the relationship changing over the recent years? For instance, often China is the last one on the list when the DPRK notifies the outside world that it has carried out nuclear test or a missile test. Why is that?
Well, this is very complex relations since the end of the Korean War, that China probably provide most of the food and oil assistance to North Korea to make the government survival and keep the Communist Party in power, and also provides many of the financial assistance. Many of them even embodied and even consensual. So, because North Korea lacks so much from the resources and the food from China. But this support, I think this is humanitarian assistance. Without that, the North Korean people will suffer a lot from the humanitarian crisis. And but now I think China joined many sanctions, including cut the import from the coal, because it's
coal,
yeah, because it's the hard currency income, most of them for export and to China.
So indeed, China can do more. Is that the case, or?
Well, we can do more in this regard, but the nuclear program is not the China can do something, because the nuclear test, missile test, the eyes on United States. Because of the US and its airlines, the threat to North Korea, so they cannot guarantee the security. So it's asymmetric to go to nuclear, which China definitely cannot provide a nuclear umbrella for North Korea. That's the reason.
So you're saying basically the lack of security reassurance from the United States is the fundamental reason why the DPRK wants to develop its nuclear program. Indeed, over the past few years, sanctions by the UN Security Council has failed to work at all, just as Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has said at the Munich Security Conference. Let's take a listen.
This negative circle should not continue, because the ultimate end result could be something that no one can bear. It's a situation where everyone loses.
So indeed, what Foreign Minister Wang Yi is saying is that by imposing more sanctions on the DPRK, it's not going to solve the problem. What can solve the problem then?
First, stop the military exercises, the threat from the US and its airlines to North Korea. At least the North Korea not feel safety and they go back to the negotiation table. But so far, there's no diplomatic relation between North Korea and the United States. And then the Armistice Treaty is not a peace treaty. So they cannot guarantee from the international community that like China open reform to the outside world. So I think this is the crucial, this is the key to North Korea.
Are we seeing positive signs in developing towards that goal?
Maybe during the President Trump's period, because of the North Korea's ICBM. It's a really threat.
Intercontinental ballistic missile.
It's not just a threat to the US airlines in South Korea, but also in Japan and in Guam, and maybe the homeland of the United States. So it's a very urgent and serious for the United States to negotiate with North Korea. In the past decade, there's just not on the agenda of the US diplomatic issues. So that reason, North Korea nuclear issues and missile issues, so worse and worse.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think the outside world continuously call on China to exercise more influence, to give more pressure on the DPRK, or basically ask questions like, does China have control over the DPRK? What is the reason behind that?
As I said, this is pass that back. This is irresponsible. That China, everything what North Korea did, you should take the responsibility. Actually, China and North Korea is not allies. We cannot control, we cannot influence in the security regard. If China can provide a nuclear umbrella for the North Korea, and then I think maybe it can solve this problem. But China has carried out its non-independent, it's independent foreign policy and non-alliance foreign policy.
Non-alliance.
So this is
what reasonable expectations can the outside world have on China in helping resolving the nuclear
The Chinese
issue?
role, I think, is like the six-party talks to put all the stakeholders for negotiation and solve this problem peacefully. That if North Korea fail the extremist threat from outside, then maybe go to extreme. This is definitely not good for China and the other stakeholders.
Thank you very much, Professor Wang Yiwei from Renmin University.